Imagine this. You're walking into a store and suddenly everything is cheaper. Sounds great, right? Well, when speaking about the economy, that's really bad. In case you haven't watched this video yet, please do. That video I made explains what inflation is, and in order to understand what deflation is, you need to know what inflation is. As you should already know, high inflation is bad for pretty much everyone. Prices go up, the daily necessities are harder to afford, but what about no inflation? No inflation, also known as deflation, is also pretty bad. But first, to understand exactly how deflation works, we need to know what it really is. The official definition of deflation is a sustained decrease in the price of goods and services over a period of time. Or, in easy terms, deflation is the opposite of inflation. In simple terms, deflation describes the process of the dollar becoming more valuable over time, which is the exact opposite of inflation, the dollar losing value over time. What causes deflation? The causes, while they can be many, aren't super clear. But what we do know is a large increase in supply or a large fall off in demand can cause inflation. If the supply-demand equation becomes unbalanced, we can see deflation as a direct result. Here's an easy example of what deflation looks like. Let's say we're looking at the price of trees. In this case, 3 trees cost $3. If we had an inflationary scenario, these trees would now cost $6. The price went up because of inflation. On the flip side, in a deflation scenario, our trees now cost $1 because the purchasing power of our dollar rose. Basically, the prices of these trees went down. With deflation, prices tend to drop. Now, I know what you're thinking. This doesn't sound that bad, right? Just like the grocery store example, everything is cheaper. People can afford more. Everything is great. Well, here's the problem with deflation. Deflation encourages people to hold on to their money. And when people aren't spending any money, the economy starts dying. Since deflation means your money is more valuable tomorrow, why would you spend it today? But if nobody spends money, that begins what we can call a deflation spiral. A deflationary spiral is pretty simple. It all starts with you, this little guy. Let's say you work growing trees for a living. These trees then get sold to customers who pay the business in exchange, and then that business pays you as their employee. Now, here's the bad part. In a deflationary spiral, the consumers stop spending money. That means they stop buying trees from the tree company, and if the tree company isn't making any money, they won't be able to pay their employees. If they can't pay their employees, that means they can't pay you. And if you aren't getting paid, you're not going to be working for them anymore, meaning you're unemployed. This causes businesses to keep lowering prices in hopes that they'll eventually get some customers, which starts a race to the bottom on prices, driving companies out of businesses and jobs to be lost. Now, what are a few outcomes of deflation? First and foremost, layoffs. People are going to lose their jobs when companies aren't making enough money to pay them. Pretty simple. Next, businesses stop making money. The low business earnings can contribute to layoffs, but also stunt future company growth and innovation. Another often unforeseen outcome of deflation is an increased debt burden, which means less borrowing. Since your money is becoming more valuable and typically harder to come by in this deflationary world, taking out a loan means you're losing more money to pay it back than if you just hadn't spent any money in the first place. Another outcome is assets lose value. Over time, since companies aren't making any money, stocks tend to lose value, real estate isn't getting bought, and all those investments that you have are going down. The worst case of deflation the US saw was the Great Depression. The dollar's value was high, but no one had any money to spend, and it was the worst economic period in modern United States history. The United States was in a deflationary spiral until World War II. The major and probably only factor contributing to a recovery is the government creating jobs by sending men to war and civilians working in the new government-subsidized war industries. These both provided millions of jobs to men and women, pulling the United States out of the deflationary spiral they saw in the 1930s. To wrap this video up, if you take anything away, just know that deflation is really bad, sometimes even worse than inflation. Follow us for more economic videos here on YouTube, and make sure to let us know if you have any requests for future videos or topics you want us to cover down in the comment section down below.